how they say kids just, they're so honest, brutally honest. But, the things that they say a lot, when they're young, And when you are like older, right? Like you've gone through a lot of life experiences. Someone like me who, like had my kids young and they're like, I'm done, but I've had a lot of experiences, different little things that kind of just I reflect on and I realize, it's a constant thing because kids just say the funniest things and the sweetest things, they just do the funniest things, right? And it's like, I know I was not this, like, I know I wasn't like this with my own kids. Like, it was always like, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that, don't do that, because, kids can be so embarrassing too, but, oh my goodness, but like, there's just so many funny things that the kids have said this weekend that have just totally, they just capture my heart. That's what they do. They just capture my heart, One of them, one of the funny things that happened this weekend was, I was watching the kids, right? And, they're 6 and 9 or 8. I keep forgetting. Anyway, I think 8, 6 and 8. But anyway, the youngest one is 6, and I had to step into the shower, and, so he was fine, watching his little, tablet and everything. He was, watching stuff on the tablet, he was fine, playing games or something. And the oldest one was too. They both had 8 and everything. So I was like, okay, Nina's gonna get into the shower and, I'll be out in a minute. Just keep doing what you're doing, whatever. I'll be out in a minute, okay? And so I did that. I took a shower and, when I got out of the shower, I did hear like little feet running past, the door. Like I could just hear there was a little bit of commotion, and I had left him on the bed playing the tablet, like watching the tablet. So I was like, oh, okay, what is he doing? And he did say, when I was in the shower, he said, Nina, I'll be right back, or something like that. I did hear him say that. Anyway, I heard his little feet. And so when I came out of the shower, he was back on the bed watching his tablet, whatever. And, but I did notice he had a bottle next to him, like a bottle, it was what I had made earlier, had made some chocolate milk in, and I was shaking it up, right? It was what I used. So there was a little bit left. And so he went downstairs and I guess apparently he had got that bottle to drink whatever chocolate milk was left. Or anyway, so I saw this bottle and I said, oh, you're not supposed to be drinking on the bed. You're not supposed to be drinking that. And then he went and he kind of moved it real close, like, oh, you don't see that, right? And I said, why are you hiding that? I see it, right? And then I saw that there was a little bit spilled, and I was on the bed. And then I was like, Ryan, you should have asked Nina for this. I said, I had already made you some. You're not supposed to be bringing it upstairs, and you're definitely not supposed to drink it in the bed. Your mom is gonna, she's gonna kill me, or what your mom said, something like that. Anyway, so then as I moved the tablet, so I moved, I moved everything. So I got the bottle from him and I moved, and he was like, he was just saying, yeah, he was acting kind of like that, like real coy. And then I moved everything, and when I moved the blanket and moved everything, I just moved the pillow and the blanket. It was like, oh my God, it was so much chocolate milk had spilled. He must have he ran downstairs and filled the bottle up and made his own chocolate milk, okay? All on his own, because I definitely did not say he could do that. I definitely did not allow. In fact, I had to hide the bottle after this. I had to hide the bottle of chocolate milk. But anyway, and then he, I guess, decided to bring it upstairs to drink it, but then spilled the whole thing because it was so much chocolate milk on the bed. Thankfully, there was a mattress cover, protector. But anyway, so then when I saw that, I said, oh my God, Ryan, your mom is gonna kill me. This is too. You know better than this. Oh my God. So I was, I was being expressive, I'm not one to yell and be like that, but I am one to over exaggerate when there's a point that needs to be made, for sure. But again, these aren't my own kids, so it's very, very different. So I was like, oh my God, Ryan, Nina's going to be in so much trouble. Your mom, she's going to kill me. Anyway, so I went on like this, and I was like, I got to clean all this up. How am I going to get this? I got to take the bedspread off, the comforter. Oh my God. So I was like doing like that. And I was over exaggerating on purpose because I was trying not to laugh because, like, by the way he was acting, it's like, I don't want him to think that I think that he's cute. Because he's not, because he knows better, right? So after I went on my little rant, and I was like, oh my God, get up. Oh God. And actually I was just thinking, thank God he didn't get anything on my tablet, because I didn't have no protector on there. So that's really, I was happy about that. But anyway, and so I was like, come on, get up. You're going to have to clean all this up. I have to get this done. And he goes, Nina, are you going to talk mean to me for the whole weekend? Or are you going to talk nice now after this? Something to that effect. He said, are you going to talk nice to me after this? And that was his response. Like, that was his response to me getting on to him, right? And it was just so cute. And I was like, I was trying so hard to not laugh or to not, like, make him think that, like, his behavior was okay. And I was like, oh, Ryan. So then of course I got to give him a hug and be like, of course Nina's going to talk nice to you. I love you, but this is ridiculous. You know better. And then he just starts laughing like, okay, we're going to clean up now. I'm like, I failed. Okay. So I failed because, he just has that look like, when they're little, right? So anyway, then I was remembering, so like there was no school. So he wanted to, the boys wanted to spend the night up in my room. They wanted to they were in my upstairs room the whole time anyway, because I had them for the weekend, and they like to do like a sleepover, like, camp out, tents and stuff like that, whatever, on the floor. And so anyway, they were like, oh, there's no school tomorrow. They're like, oh, we can stay up in your room again. So I was like, oh my goodness, okay, But Ryan, the little one, sometimes he just gets a little bit, he's the baby of the family, so he can be a little bit like, I don't say whiny, but like, okay, he was like, yeah, I'm not sleeping on the floor. I'm sleeping on the bed with you, Nina. He just like I'm not doing that, and he just has, how the babies are spoiled, and they just kind of they just get their way. And you try to be firm with them, especially me, like I'm trying to be firm. But anyway, he was like, no, I'm sleeping upstairs with Nina. He was telling him, like, kicked back with his legs crossed and everything, and just, like, yeah, like, I'm sleeping over here, I'm chilling over here, whatever. So I was like, okay, yeah, he's definitely not leaving. He was having one of his moments. And so anyway, he did. So as I was going to sleep, like, I was time to doze off or whatever, and it's a pretty big bed, but he was dozing off too. And he was like, I said, look, your mommy said, turn that tablet off, and his brother was like, yeah, it's making too much noise, whatever. So I said, it's time to turn it off now. So we turned it off, the video game. She was like, oh, okay, fine. He says, fine. So he turned it off, and then he goes, Nina, he goes, I want to cuddle. He goes, I want to cuddle up cozy, something like that. He said, cuddle up next to you. He said, give me your hand and hold my hand. This is what he said, hold my hand. He said, listen, he said, hold my hand over your heart for the whole night. Won't that be nice? That's what he said. And I was like, so he basically turned over like this next to me, and he was like, give me your hand. And he said, hold my hand over. So he said, hold my hand. And then he goes, over your heart. So he takes it over your heart for the whole night. Won't that be nice? But anyway, of course that only lasts for for a few minutes so he can doze off. Then I'm like, and I put him over on the there's a couch, and there's little mattress and stuff on the floor. But I was like, okay, we just need to doze off, because he's terrible to sleep with. He's like this, hands on the clock. He moves around so much. His feet will be up in my neck if I let it. But anyway, I try not to laugh, but his earnesty, the earnesty is what I'm talking about. The earnesty of kids, the honesty and earnest likeness, sweetness, just like, are you going to be mad at me all weekend? Are you going to talk nice now? But the reason why it touched me so much, it actually brought tears to my eyes even coming home. I thought about, like, it just came back in my mind again. And I was like, that was so sweet, because, you know, he actually reminded me of my late husband, because my late husband was very much similar like that. You know, he would be like, because this reminds me of a conversation I had with a friend of mine. And I was like, some men will argue with you to the point that you don't want to even, like, you know, you don't want to make love to them. You like, they argue themselves out of love. Like, they argue, like, they like to argue and prove a point. They argue themselves out of love. That's what I say. My late husband, what I noticed, because I obviously, having 2 marriages and a couple of relationships, you know, you can't help but notice differences of what works and what didn't work, right? And I realized that my late husband found a way to, like, kiss me to death during arguments, or, like, he was so honest and earnest like that. He would do the same type of things. I can remember being in the bed and him saying, he would, this was real, but this was also a joke too, because then it became a joke. He would be like, because he was a barber. My husband was a barber. My late husband was a barber. He would be like, oh, my hand has arthritis. Look at it. It needs warmth. It needs your hand, or it needs to, you know, be between your eyes. Like, I gotta put it like this in between your eyes. Like, look at it. Are you gonna make me suffer? He would do the dumbest stuff. Like, he would literally say the dumbest stuff, right? And it would crack me up. But, like, literally whatever argument we were having, or if I was irritated about anything, it was like his way of dealing with it was like kissing me or just being silly, whatever, so that next thing you know, it would turn into a lovemaking session, you know? Like, I would forget whatever I was actually arguing about, right? But it's like, there's different personalities that just do that to you, right? Some children, you know how it is, all children are different, right? Some children are different, you know, they come across different, you know, they're just different, right? And they don't bring that out. They don't bring out the heartstrings, right? But some children do, right? Now, Ryan is the baby of the family, and my late husband was the baby of the family as well. And I think that for me, being a firstborn or something, I don't know, like, there's something about that, the earnest, open honesty about, you know, like, just sharing your feelings, what's in your head, like what's in your thoughts, like just sharing it honestly, like, I just miss you, I just love you, or I just want, you know, the warmth of your heart on my hand, you know, just stuff like, you know, that's the kind of stuff that touches me, right? The stuff that's, like, not premeditated, game playing, you know, masking, pretending that I don't have feelings when there really is feelings, or, you know, being angry or holding on to anger, passive aggressiveness, passive aggression at all. I hate that. I can't deal with that at all in a relationship, that's for sure. Arrogant, stuff like that. Like, it's like, what I realized was that because of thinking about the sweetness and the honesty of that moment, both of those moments, it literally made me think of my late husband, and that's how he got me. That's how he got me hooked. It was like that. He would just say, like, I would get angry or something like that, and he would be like, you know, you look so cute when you're mad, or whatever, you know, like, whatever he would say was just like whatever was in his head, but it was so, I could always tell it was like this honesty, like, about it. He was honest. He was being like that. And it was like hard. It's like, most women know, like, that's a hard thing to walk away from. Like, that's a hard thing to not be attracted to. That's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't stay mad. And that's how I felt with, like, Ryan all weekend. He just kept doing things like that. You know, he's just so sweet. He's a very sweet boy. They're both sweet. They're both sweet boys. They're both very sweet boys. But him being the baby and him saying those things in like such a juvenile, kid-like, child way of what his true feelings and emotions are, right? And I think that is so priceless. It's so priceless. It's priceless in a relationship. It's rare in a relationship. I didn't know, like, I remember thinking, well, I remember my mother saying to me that what I had with Travis, my late husband, was rare. And I do remember consciously thinking and us discussing that we were soulmates. But, and I guess I took for granted that everybody at some point will run into their soulmate. You know, we'll just have a soulmate as an option. What I now see, or what I now know, A, from other people, lots of other people, B, from now being forced into, singlehood when he passed, is just how rare some of these qualities and true attraction and real genuine compatibility, which they are different. Compatibility and attraction is different. And having that real connection to somebody, how rare that is. And a connection is, it's like when what I feel like a soulmate is like embodies all three of those things. It's like when you have that, a genuine connection. Well, let me just say, there's compatibility that's there, and then there's like this genuine, like you actually like each other. Like there's a genuine, like, I really like you as a person. Like, stripped down naked to nothing else, without your money, house, car, job, family, friends, whatever. I like you. Like, I like you as a person. I like you. Like, I like who you are. You make me laugh, or whatever, right? There's that genuine likability and companionship and, real, just, it's like you're like a real pair, right? And that can happen to two people who are not even actually romantically involved or romantically in love with each other. Like, that can absolutely happen to, I mean, you can have that in non-relationships or non-romantic relationships, right? Excuse me. Sorry, it's really cold outside, and I do have other jackets and stuff, but I definitely felt it today. I felt the cold and the wet today, so I'm gonna be taking some extra stuff. But anyway, you can have compatibility, and you can have, and then it's like, if it's a romantic, if there's an attraction there, if two people actually are, like, there's a physical attraction that's there, and you add that with true compatibility, it's like, then it becomes like fire, right? It's like, psh, it's like fire. And then the connection, which is formed through those two things right there, and then there's a connection where it's like, how do I explain what I experienced before? It was like, the relationship, the connection would be there no matter where that other person was in the world. The connection was just there. It's like you could sense and feel what each other is thinking, feeling, sensing, or, like you could sense each other's feelings and emotions, even if you're not present. So, for example, like my mother and me, like we live in different states, but it's like she can always pick up on different things. And she's called me out many times. She's like, I know you're feeling blah, 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 because she's feeling it too. And she's like, I know it's not this or that. My mother is like that, right? And I'm that way too, right? So a connection is like, it's like the connection is there regardless if two people are actually in the same room or in the same state or even like around each other. The connection is just there. It's like something that you can't really explain, but you sense it and you know that it's there. You can try to disconnect it all you want, and it can work for a little while, but it's not easy to disconnect. It's something that's just kind of like there. And mothers have it usually with their children, but maybe not all of their children. Maybe just one or two, you know what I mean? But it's definitely like, it's like, I've heard it described as like a string from one heart to the other heart, and it doesn't really matter what you're doing. The string just it just stays there, so you feel and sense like each other's vibes, and you can feel and sense each other, right? It's like, yeah, it's kind of like that. Anyway, I had that with my late husband, right? And I've shared that with a few other people. I'd say two. And it's kind of, like you have to work very hard at disconnecting that. Like when I say work hard, I mean it takes a lot of prayer and a lot of just, breath work and speech to you know, to really sever that, right? And it can be done. It really can be done. It's hard, but it can be done. But anyway, that is to me like the connection that's there. It's like there's a connection there. And sometimes you can even have a connection with somebody, even if it's not romantic. It's just like you get them, they get you, and the connection is just there. And it's like you know that person is either experiencing something right now, or, you know, they want to say something to you, or it's like you just kind of, and that happens even with friends. Like even if you're really close with somebody as a friend, you know, like you can feel that absolutely with friends too. So, but if you have all three, if you get the opportunity to have a connection, an attraction, physical attraction on both parties with both people, and compatibility, I mean, that's strong soulmate, you know, relationship there. That's a strong soulmate. And again, it's not anything that you can really explain, or you can't really pick and choose. You just can't. You can't pick and choose. I have a friend right now who I met him a couple years back, and we have stayed in communication to some degree, one degree or another, since we met. But I knew when I met him that he was, if you want to say, a part of my soul family. I knew when I met him, and he did too. And we've discussed it, you know, but it's like it was nothing romantic at all. Like, it was nothing romantic at all. But I could just remember saying to myself, and I think even to my mother, I was like, he feels like family. Like, he just literally feels like family to me. Like, he feels like family. And she was like, yeah, he has that about him. You know, I was married to my second husband, and there was no romantic feelings there. It wasn't like that at all. But there was a like that kind of familiarity kind of feeling vibe, right? And my husband definitely noticed it, because he was like not having it. Doesn't matter. We stayed friends. But you know, those kind of people, when you run across those type of people, you know, and I actually feel that way with like little Ryan, because it's like I don't know, like and I'm like, not, you know, I'm not his mom, but I kind of have that, you know, it's that little feeling as a mom that you kind of get in your stomach, you know, like to make sure, when you want to make sure like your kids are okay, or if you think they're hurt or whatever. You know, Ryan got mauled by a dog. Well, you know, he got bit by a dog. He's okay now, and it didn't leave any major scars. But I remember when that happened. And again, I'm not even his mother, but I've just known them since they were born. You know, like I've known this family for a long time, and and I knew them before they were born. But I can remember the feeling in my stomach, you know, and I can remember that that over concerned feeling, like on the inside, when I heard that he got bit by a dog. And it's like, it wasn't my place, you know, because of how it happened and who and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't want to throw my 2 cents in, but it bothered me. It bothered my spirit. It really bothered me. And, you know, it's like, you know, there are people that get hurt, or that are, you know, every single day, right? That you know a lot, you know, we can know a lot of people, but not everybody's problems and issues or things affect you like on the inside, if you know what I'm saying, right? Only some people do. And that's little Ryan for me. Like, he has that kind of effect. And I know it has to do with, he reminds me, he has a spirit that's very similar, and energy that's very similar to my late husband. And I know that that's got to be what it is, you know? I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But anyway, yeah, the kids, they just do and say some of the funniest things, you know? Like when Ryan was telling me that he had a milk mustache, you know, and then he was like, well, and you have your mustache, you know, I'm Italian, you know, so he's like, well, ladies have mustache too, you know, like we've discussed this, you know, and I was like, yes, you know, has to wax her mustache, you know. I've been doing that since I was 12. My mother was like, as soon as I turned 12, she was like, get that dirt off your upper lip. we're Italian, so we have hair everywhere. So for us, it's like in our family. But, you know, kids are just so funny the way they just say things, right? But anyway, yeah, that's all. I know that was 28 minutes, but it was on my mind. It was just in my heart, my mind, and how it just kind of like brought me to tears when he said that. Just hold my hand over your heart all night long, he said. It's just so cute. And I was like, okay. He was out so fast. I was like, thank God. In like 5 minutes, he was out. Because he was already overtired. So I was like, good, I could move him because, you know, who can sleep like... And Robbie, I think, Robbie, his older brother, was like, they're so funny. They just crack me up. Anyway, it is so different when you get to be like a fun aunt or whatever, right? Like, you get to just kind of like... just have fun with them, you know. So anyway, let me get inside. Bye, good night.